This is the Charger, a Terminate that, as the name suggests, charges at Helldivers like a bull. This bad boy dons heavy armor from the front, but sports a weak, juicy booty in the back. And these guys can cause a lot of chaos on the battlefield, making it very important to take them out quickly. And although your secondary weapon is not often the best choice to achieve that, sometimes it's all you have, but other times, some of these may actually surprise you. And so that all begs the question, which of these secondary weapons are the best and which are the worst at taking down these chargers? Dr. Pooplove here, and that's what I hope to find out. Today we will be examining every secondary weapon's effectiveness versus the charger and ranking their viability versus these behemoth pests. Starting with the absolute worst sidearm for these guys, and that is the P11 stim pistol. Of course, as no surprise, this one is not even an offensive weapon, it's for healing your own teammates, but I was interested to see if maybe this could heal a wounded charger and maybe even befriend it, but no. You cannot. Despite making some damage marks on this big boy, this won't work for you, so let's just move on to the next worst secondary, and that is the P19 Redeemer. Now, some might be surprised that this is so low, especially if you saw my overall tier list where I did have a pretty glowing review for this. Although this fast-firing secondary weapon is great for the general horde, it really sucks for the charger butts. It even seems to require more bullets than you actually have, even if you unloaded on this guy with a fully stocked ammo. I'm guessing this gun has some pretty bad durability damage, so just flush this guy straight down the toilet. It's not good for this job. But the next worst secondary weapon is the P2 Peacemaker. And you might actually be surprised that this wins out over the Redeemer, especially since I think this is a poop tier gun overall, but it actually does do slightly better, mostly because you are able to kill a charger without depleting all your ammo reserves, although you will get very close. But at least here you won't actually have to restock your ammo supplies, and it must be because this must have a little bit better durability damage. This is still pretty horrible though. It will take a long time to do it, and so I wouldn't try it. But the next gun to go is the LAS-7 Dagger. Now this laser weapon does take quite a step up from the Peacemaker. One particular benefit here is that enough time spent beaming at the butt will light this guy on fire, performing a little bit of damage over time effect to this guy. Another benefit, of course, is the infinite ammo means you won't have to actually resupply. But it does still seem to take a good long while to take the charges out, especially because the charger turns kind of quickly and doesn't give you a whole lot of time to focus fire, and sometimes it doesn't even give you enough time to catch him on fire. To really be effective with this, you kind of need to have a stun grenade with you because that will actually give you enough time to unload on him. While better than the ones I've spoken about so far, it's still pretty bad. It does have some upsides, but not really worth using versus these guys. But the next gun that we have might be, and that is the P113 Verdict. Now, this one isn't too bad. I think in large part because it has some decent damage and enough capacity in its mag to do a good deal of damage to the charger butts. Now, it's still not that great. Like, you will have to expel about half your ammo supply, and it will take a couple rounds of the charger charging at you before you can actually do it. It's not super impressive, but it can get the job done in a pinch. But we're continuing to move up. The next gun we do have is a bit of a step up from the Verdict, and that is the SG-22 Bushwhacker. And what I especially like about this is using its 3-shot mode. It can be pretty nice because it means that each time a charger charges you, you only will need to land one of these triple shots instead of with something like the Verdict needing to land multiple. But it's still going to take about 4 of these triple shots, so it's not going to wipe the floor with this guy. And by the way, you can go for single shots too, but will likely end up taking more charges unless you're able to land all 3 every single time. Now, this gun is still not the best, but at least we are moving up, and we do now have a pretty heavy hitter, literally. Next up is the P4 Senator, and you might actually be interested to find that this is still fairly low on this list, especially as this is the only heavy armor penetrating secondary that we have. And so yes, you can actually shoot this charger directly in the face, and he will go down this way. But if you do do this method, it actually will take a lot of bullets. Actually, almost your entire ammo supply will have to be expended to do this. So it's really not the most efficient means. Now, you can improve that efficiency though by going for the legs, as this will strip the armor off in a little less than about half your ammo supply. And you can follow this up easily with a few shots to the unarmored leg from either the Senator or another weapon. But actually, what seems to be the best way to go against the Chargers here is to just go for the butt, as this will take a little less than 2 mags, and so it will do quick work of these guys. And now something interesting here I've found, and I think this may depend on the angle that you're shooting at, but the final butt shot will sometimes even insta-kill the Charger, rather than letting him crawl around with his butt bleeding out, which is never a pretty sight. So this can be a pretty solid pick for the Charger, but the next 3 are definitely even better. Next up, we have the P72 Crisper, which again, many may be surprised isn't closer to the actual top, as this is another one that can apply damage by firing directly at the Charger's face, as the fire damage applied will kill these guys. And definitely that is a nice perk to have, making pretty good work of the Chargers. And one thing I particularly love is you can run away while firing this, continuing to hurt this guy as he's charging at you. But the main reason this is in the 3rd spot is really the time to kill. The flame damage is a bit slower than, of course, the flamethrower stratagem, but also this is a little bit slower than the next 2 secondaries that we have. And I think that will ultimately make them a little bit of a better option. Although I will say the versatility that the Crisper has and being able to apply damage to a Charger from any angle without having to worry about aiming for weak spots is definitely something that shouldn't be forgotten, and definitely makes the Crisper pretty close to the top. But the next one we have, I was very impressed by, and that is the GP31 grenade pistol. Now what I like about this thing is that it will get a Charger in 2 clean shots to the butt, making the time to kill pretty fast. And although you can't hit this guy head on to much effect, you can still damage him from the front by shooting underneath this guy and applying explosive splash damage to its weak spots. Now that may take an extra shot or 2, but ultimately using this gun is a bit quicker than the Crisper. Now this still can falter a little bit, especially if you miss a shot. That can really slow you down, and sometimes the bounce of your grenades won't end up exploding exactly where you want, but still I find this to be pretty impressive versus the Charger, and definitely something that's very usable and can really apply a lot of good damage to these guys quickly. But the next gun I want to talk about really takes the cake as the king of secondary weapons versus the Chargers, and that is the Plaz 15 Loyalist. Now what I like about this plasma gun is it does explosive damage similar to the grenade pistol, but it also fires much faster and has a lot more versatility in its ability to kill Chargers. Now you could kill the Charger in about 4 fully charged shots to the butt, meaning you can actually down this thing in less than 1 mag and have some bullets to spare. This thing also melts Charger butts with the fast firing option, taking them out in a little less than 2 mags, and fires upon these guys so quickly. But the really awesome way to take these guys down is by unloading a fast firing mag onto their butt and then following up with 1 to 2 charged up shots that shoots him from the front but underneath, applying that splash damage to its butt. And this can actually be one of the fastest methods for taking these guys out very quickly and very efficiently. And it can be a pretty viable way to save your anti-tanks for something else. And this essentially makes this the quickest Charger killer, and just having a lot of different options in order to do this makes this clearly the winner of the secondaries for me. And so this is where I rank secondary weapons specifically versus the Chargers. These bottom 4, I would say don't bother. These next 2, I would say only use if you are in a pinch. And these top 4, I would say you can seriously consider using fairly often versus Chargers, especially in the case of the Loyalist, which is sure to compete with even some of the strongest primaries and support weapons on this front. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I want to say a special thank you to my YouTube members for joining the Bowel Movement. But otherwise, so long, Pooper Troopers.